Football fans, Gooners, Blackburn George, welcome to the post Everton edition of the Positively Uncensored podcast. This is post game review, somewhat. I think I should alert fans that we are going to do a full blown season review as soon as we can get the gang together. It's very hard with the different time zones people are in. But I thought Georgia and I should, discuss the outcome of the game and especially the comments made by Mikel Arteta. But before we do that, fans, we after a year, we not being the most, not exposing PR and bullshit, we have made some progress. We started with one subscriber 9 months ago, George. We're now over 100. Started with 0 viewers. We're now sometimes we make some numbers, but we're nowhere near where we should be. And I think that a point of view like ours, which is contrary to the, as like I say, the PR narrative, is important because this club has suffered because of PR. So you might not see much of us during the summer, but remember to like and subscribe. George and I will come. Hopefully, will come on occasionally when things develop. So, George, into the business of this meeting. George. I've had too much meetings. this podcast. Yesterday we beat Everton 5-1, and to be honest, George, Everton was poor. Beat them. We started off at one point we were like 90% possession. They couldn't even hold on to the ball. They had no midfield. Dominant until Iwobi conceded a penalty. Kind of unfortunate ball. Struck him just below his shirt. The sleeve of his shirt, I'm sorry. And the floodgates started to open. I thought it would score 5. We eventually scored 5, but we made hard work of it. The point I want to make is that Everton, there's a reason why Everton is 17th. They are poor. They conceded at set plays. Everybody was scoring goals. Nothing to write home about. I don't know if you saw much of it. Perhaps you want to say just briefly. Were you surprised at all? I mean, you had some thoughts on Friday. Were you surprised, George?
First of all, I know this podcast is called Positively Uncensored, but today it should be Positively Uninformed because I haven't watched the game.
Yes.
I have to be honest, I watched the City game.
Right.
It was interesting.
Yeah.
And I was going to watch the match highlights. And when the match highlights came on Match of the Day, I was engaged in a very interesting game of Candy Crush.
Jesus Christ, George.
So I didn't even watch the highlights. I will watch it. I'll watch it on Arsenal Player eventually, but I couldn't bring myself to choose to watch that game. Meaningless game when there was a title decider being played out. So I haven't watched it. I've seen the goals, and that's about it. I heard somebody in the background saying that Odegaard had a good game. That's the limit of my knowledge on this game.
Yeah, and that's why I told you.
What you're doing now, Shotta, is like, have you seen interviews on TV where the interviewer stops a random pensioner in the street and asks him about macroeconomics or some such shit, and the guy doesn't have a clue what he's talking about, but he just waffles on for 5 minutes, and they say, "Oh, thank you very much." That's what the public think. Well, I'm that random pensioner that you found on the street today.
Yes. Well, take my word for it, George. We overran them for most of the game. And there's a reason why they are 17. They are poor. Without Richarlison and without that tall fellow from Colombia in the defense, they're not much of a team. And I don't know what Lampard is going to do with them. But I thought today, and that's what you will see down on the bottom of the screen, I thought what was more interesting for discussion today, and I'm wondering if, how many people will I'm sorry, this is not what I want to show, but Arteta's comments after the game I know would interest you, and I thought I should share them with you and the audience because it gives us a clue as to his thinking. He says, I'm extremely disappointed today, and all of us feel that disappointment because despite the victory, we remain fifth. Spurs trashed Norwich 5-0. But he said, because we had generated expectations that I wanted for this football club, because that is what it deserves. At the end, we came short, and that feeling of guilt and not reaching that level is painful. George, considering the start of the season, considering the decisions Arteta made in January, decisions he made before when he got rid of several players, is that feeling of pain and guilt, does it resonate with you?
Well, he talks a good game, doesn't he?
Mhm.
It's all part of, as we said the other day, the PR blitzkrieg. No, it doesn't resonate. I don't believe a word he says, really. I'm sure he, no, don't get me wrong. I'm absolutely sure he was desperate to finish fourth,
Yes.
as was every other manager in the league. Uh, but where do you go from here? How much credit do you give him for achieving what the team was achieving before he came in, and how much blame do you give him for being in the position twice, being in the position where we should comfortably have made top four,
Mhm.
and blowing it twice? You know, depending on whether you're Arteta in or Arteta out, you'll have a different narrative.
Well, George, all the fans feel pain and guilt, but I think he's trying to identify with the fans and also with
Yeah.
himself. You know,
Look, what he wants is a pat on the head. Hey,
Mhm.
don't blame yourself, Mikel. Come on, you did a good job. That's what he wants to hear. Everybody, holding his hands up. Oh, look, I did my best. Try me out. Yeah, well, you did well, Mikel. Don't worry about it. It's
Well,
so fucking bollocks, isn't it? It's like, just get on with managing the fucking club.
and
Stop selling our good players.
yes, but is there any excuses, valid explanations for after that victory over Southampton, George? Is it when he did that last 3 game spell? United, Chelsea. Was it Southampton? Guys, please remind me.
No, they fucking lost to them, didn't we?
Yeah, lost to Southampton.
It
Who was
was
it?
Manchester United, Chelsea, and West Ham.
West Ham, right. Sorry, guys. We were 4 points ahead of Spurs.
And
Because
we
Spurs had
fucked it.
right. Well,
Fucked it.
how does he explain that? Because we just lost the next 2 games, putting us in this position.
Well, if you watched us play against Chelsea, Manchester United, and West Ham, you would have realised that it was as much down to their bad play as our good play. We didn't play well in any of those games. I can't remember the last time we played well. Leicester, maybe? When was that? Around about Christmas?
Yeah, that was post second half of the season.
Yeah, just into the second half of the season.
Mm-hmm.
So, no, there's no excuses. There's mitigating circumstances, but the mitigation comes from mistakes that he's made.
Yeah.
We had a paper thin squad. Yeah, because you put all your players out on loan. That's it. We had some injuries. Yeah, we suffered because all the players were out on loan. Your mistake. No, I'm not. I'm not having it. The excuses are for his mistakes. Nothing else. Or let's say the club's mistakes, and he's obviously part of that decision-making process.
Well,
you're not telling me that in this run-in, had we had Bellerin, Ainsley Maitland-Niles, Guendouzi, Aubameyang, that we wouldn't have been picking up more points.
well, here's a stat that is, of course, very compelling, and people just ignore it, or many people ignore it. And of course, the Arteta authors don't. But even for him, the fact that he sent off Aubameyang after trashing him, went off to Barcelona, scored 11 goals for them, while he could, when in the first 4 months he could barely scratch three EPL goals for Arsenal. That tells you a lot, doesn't it, George?
Yeah, well,
And John,
he,
before you even reply, and at the end of the day, Nketiah, living off scraps, is our top striker.
yeah, but fair, it is true that the system he plays is not suited to Aubameyang playing at number 9,
Mm-hmm.
playing our central striker. But he would still have scored a lot more goals than Martinelli if he had been playing on the left wing.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and he had a better understanding with Lacazette. So, no, it was an ego-driven mistake, wasn't it? It was the same as Ozil and Guendouzi. It was all because he was the boss and he had to be seen to be the boss. And that's fair enough, but it comes at a cost. And
Precisely.
that cost is points
Mm-hmm.
and money
Mm-hmm.
lost. Saliba doesn't want to come back.
No.
We've spent 3 years developing him for somebody else.
Well,
So that's another mistake. Guendouzi, we sell him for 8 million and he's worth 30, 40 million. It's just one expense after another. And then we'll say, oh, but we've freed wages up. Yeah, for who? Who are we going to get? Who are we going to get that's going to be as good as or better than them for the wages we were paying them? The answer is nobody, probably.
we're going to get Gabriel Jesus, George.
We're not getting Gabriel Jesus. We're not getting Gundogan. We're not getting Sterling. We are not getting players like that. You know, this might come back to bite me in the arse, but I just think that's absolute fantasy football people are playing if we think that we're going to get players like that. I mean, you saw those 3 players win City the league yesterday.
Yes, I saw
Those
it.
3 players
Yes.
won City the league. So, and you think they're going to come here like Jesus? He would be number 1 striker here. That's a plus. You know, there is a plus. He must want to be the number 1. He must know that with Haaland coming in, he's not going to be number 1. But he doesn't necessarily have to play in the middle anyway. He can play wide, which he does as often as not. So it's not that he's game time. If they lose one player, if they were to let me say Sterling goes to Real Madrid or PSG or somewhere, which he very easily could, Jesus is in the same position. You know, he's going to get the same amount of game time because he can play in that. He can make up that position. It's not necessarily that he's never going to play again because Haaland's coming in. So I suspect he'll stay at City anyway, and they don't need to raise funds. Why would he leave? You know, we're probably going to win everything next season. That elusive quadruple that Liverpool were chasing.
Mm-hmm.
City have a better chance of winning that next season than Liverpool had this season.
You know, my take on this, George, is why would any of those players come to a Europa League team? I mean, your ambition as a player is to play at the top level. Why would you come down at the bottom line? Why would you come down a distinct second level to Europa League?
Particularly as they would easily play for a Champions League team. I mean, Gundogan could play for Liverpool, couldn't he? No problem.
he could go back. I mean, you know,
Or
he was
PSG or Real Madrid or Barcelona. He's going to improve all of those squads. Why would he step down to Arsenal now?
I'm trying to remember I trying to remember who he was playing for. Was he playing before he came to City? I don't remember, you know, George. And it's on the tip of
Dortmund.
my tongue. Dortmund. Yes. He was at Dortmund. Now, you know, so you know, he probably won't want to go back to Germany. He would go back to,
Well, he could go anywhere, but why would he want to leave City?
Right. And people are saying like he's washed up and he's past it, and I mean, he passed it. Guy scored 2 goals yesterday. You know,
he's at his peak. He really is.
Yes.
He's a top player. He's a brilliant player. Not coming to Arsenal.
So, you know, just going back to stuff that Arteta said yesterday, George, and this is really what I wanted to, you know, the kind of things I want to look on. I don't want to, you know, this is not speculation, guys. We're not here, you know, inventing quotations. This is something that he said on earning 69 points this season. Well, with 67 points last year, Chelsea was in the Champions League. That tells you everything. That tells you where the league is going. And we have come very far because it's not how many points we have made, it's how we made it. I have tried to squeeze that lemon as hard as I possibly could. By the way, George, I cut out a little of the verbiage just before that, which was kind of irrelevant. And I think when I reflect on this statement, I just thought of something you said. In fact, you know, you're probably correct. Arteta is looking for a pat on the head. Last year, Chelsea made it with 67 points, but this year he made 69 points, and he's not in the Champions League. I think you're onto something there.
Well, yeah, I mean, Arsene Wenger got 75 points and didn't get in the Champions League. The first year he didn't make it. Mm-hmm. And they were flying aeroplanes, waving bed sheets and holding up A4, wanting him out the club. The atmosphere was toxic. And we play good football. I don't know.
I'm going to share some.
It's a nonsense, isn't it? You know.
Yes.
I just keep coming back to this. I've watched every game apart from the last one, which I will watch.
Yes.
And the standard of football we play is poor. It is. It's the worst that we've seen for 25 years. It's as simple as that. There's no getting away from it. It's the worst football we've seen for 25 years.
Well, George, I first of all, I share with you something you said on Twitter this morning. Obina was boasting that we have 4 less wins than the Invincibles team, but you said we have had 13 more losses. And I made a comment. You have exposed the way these PR agents use lies, damn lies, and statistics to paraphrase Mark Twain. Because, George, we scored 61 goals, but conceded 48. Last year, he was supposed to improve the defense. Last year, he conceded 39. It is, how many goals that, George? 9 more goals we conceded with the improved, better defense, better goalkeeping. So what's going on there? And as you said, the quality of football has, in my opinion, the statistics belies it. In 16-17, when we first came 5th, we scored 77 goals, George. The guy who couldn't coach defense only conceded 44 goals. That old anachronistic coach. And even old Emery, George. Emery in 18-19 was 73 goals and 4 and 51 against when we had the Wenger muscle memory. So why is Arteta patting on himself on the back for 69 points and conceding 48 goals? That is the question I want to ask. Maybe you can give me an answer, my friend. You're struck for words?
I am, yeah, because it's obvious. But I don't blame Mikel Arteta because everyone makes a case for their defence. I said this in the last podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody holds their hands up and say, I fucked up. I've done a shit job. I've made some mistakes. I mean, some of that last statement that you just read out is a fucking joke. It's pathetic. You know, I've tried to squeeze the lemon. What he's saying there is, I haven't had enough good players to get them any better, but I've tried to wring everything out of this shower of shite that I've got at the moment. That's how I read that.
I agree.
And it's pathetic, you know. They're good players. We've had good players. We had good players at the club and he let them go. I'm not giving him credit for scuffing the ball about for 38 games, and it was fucking horrible. I don't care what anybody says. They can see the improvement. Well, yeah, from the absolute fucking carnage at the beginning of the season. And then if you look at it, when we lost the first 3 games, everybody was laughing, saying we were going to get relegated, and it was relegation form. Would you have taken 5th? Absolutely, because I couldn't see it. I couldn't see us getting top half.
I would have. Well, you remember, I said I would take 6th in a heartbeat.
Yeah. and so, of course, 5th is good. But then when you think, what about all the other circumstances? How bad has everybody else been? Manchester United with the worst season in Premier League history. Spurs were that bad, they had to sack the fucking manager and get someone else in. Leicester were in the bottom half most of the fucking season. And we had no European football.
That's the other thing too, George. That's the other thing too. This is without any other distraction, by the way, guys. Go ahead, George.
No, I mean, and he cleverly got us knocked us out the FA Cup in the first round, so we could absolutely concentrate on the league. You know, it was poor by anything, but all that is subjective. And what subjectively I look at is the standard of football we play, and I think it's been poor. It's not been shit all the time, but it's been pretty poor most of the time.
You know what? When I was watching Everton yesterday, George, I could tell you what the patterns are going to be. The ball comes to El Neni. He passes to Xhaka, who passes to Martinelli, who goes into the box, either comes inside or tries a cross. George, if you go back and look at the patterns of play, especially in the first half, very distinct. Then if the ball is on our right side, it's Odegaard. He makes a move there. He disguises. Not very much disguise. He passes to Saka. Saka goes inside or goes outside because he can go both ways. But the patterns, George, that's audience. The patterns are very predictable. The only difference that he made is when he went Xhaka and El Neni. I see a more stable central midfield. But behind them stands 2 defenders who I am not so sure. I don't know if it's the way that we play, but they look suspect. And then the boy Donny the Beak just crept through between them and scored a very nice goal. And I was like, if they had better players, we'd be in trouble. George, are the patterns, as I said it, are the patterns as predictable and as monotonous as I have represented? Am I off this?
Yes, but we've said this all along. It's paint by numbers football. Mm-hmm. That's what it is. And that said, so is Manchester City.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So you can't say it doesn't work. And you can't say it doesn't lead to beautiful football because it works for them and it's brilliant. I think it's wonderful to watch the way Manchester City play. But so that doesn't mean necessarily that paint by numbers football won't work.
Yes.
What I'm saying in this case is this is bad paint by numbers football. This isn't Leonardo da Vinci doing paint by numbers.
Yes.
This is Picasso. It's like
Oh
crap.
God, it's like those patterns where you.
Where the nose doesn't even look like a nose.
Yeah.
It's not good to watch. It's as simple as that. I mean, fifth place in good football would do for me. I would say that's all right. Fifth place, entertaining football. I'll have that. But fifth place and hurting my eyes every time I watch the fucking screen, and then having to listen to his bullshit. Well, that's not true. I don't have to listen to his bullshit, and I don't listen to his bullshit. That's why you're reading out the quotes to me, because I won't even watch his press conferences.
Well,
It's more painful watching him talking than it is watching his team fucking play. There's nothing fucking no. I'm just a miserable old bastard, I know, but there
I know. But well, I don't, I'm 16 years of you. George. I don't know. The problem that I am having in all of this is that we're coming across as negative, but the numbers don't lie, do they? I mean, Wenger's last year, we scored 77 goals. It's down, not his last year, I'm sorry, in 16-17. But even his worst last year was 74 goals. And it's just downhill all the way. Emery could only get 73. When Arteta picked up the pieces, 56 goals for, then 55 last year, and then he's picked it up to 61. And those 5 goals against Everton flattered us. I'm telling you, guys, flattered us. They are not a very good team, and I don't know, like I said, what Lampard is going to do with them. The other thing I want to discuss before we get out of this, George, is what's next. He also spoke about what's next, and he said, no, because I cannot stop. No, we have a very important week to make some decisions as well, and to start to set the platforms for what we're going to do in the summer. We are ready to do that, and we need to start to go. Then there was a later quote where he said that they have already made the decisions about 3 players and how difficult it was to communicate to them what the decision was in the running. And so, guys, we know what that means. Contracts end at May 31st. They have to make decisions as to renewals. We know that Lacazette is gone. Pepe's contract is not out, but we're going to sell him. I have a feeling.
If we can, he's tanked his value to the extent where we'll be lucky to get him sold at all.
Right. And Nketiah's contract is over. And it's pretty clear that El Nene whose contract is up, but it's pretty clear from all the reports that El Nene's contract he's going to get a 1-year extension at the minimum. Smart move, Arteta. You had him sent out on loan, and you buy Lokonga, and then you find out that El Nene is a superior player to Lokonga. But George, what does that look? What is that? Do I have it right? My interpretation of what he's going to do over the next 3 weeks, next week, I'm sorry, before he goes on holidays?
Well, I'm glad they know, because I wasn't sure they have a clue what they're going to fucking do.
By the way, George, that was what I was thinking. By the way, George, hold it there. I'm not going to interrupt you, but that was my original theme. Do they have a clue what they're going to do? Go ahead, my friend. But anyway.
So to find out that they do know what they're going to do is a pleasant surprise. Because up to now, it doesn't look like it's a worry, because I said this morning, I tweeted this morning that we're going to have 3 months now of every player that he brings in and every player he lets go is going to be a wonderful development of the squad from his supporters. And from the people who are against him, it's going to be an absolute nightmare signing or a fuck up that we've let someone go that we shouldn't have done. And we're going to be sat in the middle trying to weigh it up. And things will change as the season progresses. Beginning of this season, let's be honest, we thought that the signings that he'd made, the 6 signings, were a lot better than they turned out to be by the end of the season.
Mm-hmm.
We did. We thought the Emperor was going to be better than he turned out to be. We thought Ben White would be better than he turned out to be.
We thought Odegaard.
Even Ramsdale, that everybody was jizzing the telephone screens over. He ended up looking like someone who had been relegated 3 times. So who else was there? Lukongo, he was a brilliant young talent, wasn't he? Now he can't kick a ball. Tavares, he was a masterstroke. Now he has to go. We have to get somebody in to replace him. So even when you sign people and you start the season, you're not going to know whether the squad has improved until the end of the season. Because, like I said, that transfer window looks very different now to what it looked 2 or 3 weeks into the season.
Well, the thing that crossed my mind is he is and supporters, and supporters of Arteta, you have a right to plug him. Not telling you not, but the supporters are saying that he's building a team for the future with young people. Of course, they over egg how young the team is and the achievements. And I won't go there for now. But they forget that the previous season, I don't know if it's really relevant, he went for experience. Willian, Marie, anybody? Cedric. Yes. Right? All of a sudden that didn't work, and then he went for youth. So I'm wondering now that he's in the European League and he has to strengthen. If we're going to see a change of direction. That's why I said we
will see a change of direction.
Again.
The age profile. We will. Mm-hmm. We'll buy more mature players, not old players in the 25, 26, 27 range that are not top players. That are okay players.
Marie like, Cedric like?
If I was to look at other clubs, I would say Ross Barkley like.
Jesus Christ, George! He's not even playing at the Premier League level again anymore.
So that's the sort of we're not going to, like I said, we're not going to be signing Gundogan type players. More Scott McTominay type players.
Maybe I was wondering if we'd be looking down to Leeds, but that's looking too far ahead. Picking off anything. I don't know. I don't think that Arteta has any love for somebody like Rafinha. He's too much of a free agent. But Bamford, I don't know.
Too old now.
Yeah.
Too old, too injury prone.
Yeah, I know. But anyway, that's speculating. But
as long as he doesn't buy Dominic Calvert-Lewin for £60 million, I'll probably live with most of anybody else.
But like he said, he has a pretty clear idea where he wants to go. And I think that we're going to see a lot more of that during the rest of the holidays. But my
problem is, Shotta, you hear this term all the time, like his ability to spot talent.
Mm-hmm.
We heard that a lot at the beginning of the season. You don't hear it so much now about those very same players that were a good spot. Now they weren't. I mean, seriously, we paid £50 million for Ben White, and we already had Saliba,
mm-hmm.
who was
we played good money for George.
Prospect. Mm-hmm. I don't know. He's going to be worth 50, 60, 70 million pounds when he moves to his next club. We won't get that for him because he's only going to have a short term time left on his contract, and he's unhappy, and everybody will know that it's a buyer's market, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, George, I'll leave I'm one of those
Yeah, leave it before I depress everybody.
right. Yeah, but the thing that intrigues me is how you can't sell. I don't know if you can sell pain and guilt for the summer. If we had to go by something we saw with the things that we're beginning to see on the Athletic and Gunner blog in particular, they're going to talk. They're going to have a problem until the window is open because they're selling. Oh, we are youthful. We're going to get better. And I think Arteta is going to, as you say, Arteta has to go with experience because
yeah, they've got another problem now at the moment, Shotta, because the eggs in the youth basket were all right when we thought those eggs were going to make nice swans. Now some of them might just turn out to be chickens.
Yes.
You know, the eggs that hatch from that basket might not be quite as good as everybody thought they were going to be. And that's another problem that they've got because
right.
they've built them up so much.
Mm-hmm.
And now if you start replacing them, people are going to be scratching their heads going, hang on, I thought he was going to be world class. Now he can't get a game because he brought somebody else in to play in his place. So that's another problem that they've got. How are they going to spin that? But spin it they will. If nothing, this club has now got the best PR in the league, bar none.
Well, George, let's leave some of this material for the team to do our final season review. But the signs are that the PR agents going to have a problem between now and the transfer windows because Arteta. The problem is that Arteta's tune changes. His tune changes with circumstances because I really the guy has not been consistent, and that's the best I can say for him.
Yeah.
Anyway, George, that does it for.
On that happy note.
Yes, that does it. Well, very happy. But it probably will put us out of business because we don't do the PR and we're not insiders that they have to sell the PR to.
We probably should be out of business, to be fair.
Yeah, to be fair. I can't know some of our...
somebody rang me up this morning, Shotta.
Yes.
Somebody rang me up, a random call. They said the name. I said, what can I do for you? They said, we want to talk to you about your prepaid funeral plan. I said, you cheeky bastard. What makes you think I'm nearly fucking dead?
Yes,
where's you got my name? Is there a dead pool or something? Yes. It's a nightmare, Shotta. Nightmare. So I'm thinking that maybe we should think about winding this podcast down because looks like my number's coming up soon.
Well, I hear the NHS is selling its database to private contractors, so that's why your name came up.
So they do know how fucking near the edge I am.
Yeah. Well, on that gloomy note, George, thank you. Until we get together with the group, guys, like I said, we're just telling it like it is. You might not agree with us, and everybody has their opinion, but we are not doing the PR. We're not doing the spin. We're not doing the bullshit. If you think that there's a place for us, we think there's a place for us in this myriad of YouTubers. Like and subscribe. We will be around, contrary to what the caller to George did earlier today. Thank you, George.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.